So I went through the full rebuild of the old 1969 Sea Ray, new stringers, new transom, new floor, cleaned up the engine and the drive, new interior, new electrical, new everything else, but the one part I didn't rebuild was the carburetor. In the fall, launched the boat for the first time, started perfectly, shifted perfectly, idled perfectly. When I gave it throttle, couldn't get it much over 2,000 RPM, if that. Quickly realized that I had a fuel delivery problem. So the next step was something I should have done earlier, just take the carburetor off. I actually had it off earlier, and this time take it apart, thoroughly clean it. So I bought a rebuild kit and started on it. The first thing I do with any carburetor rebuild is take a bunch of pictures from different angles, just so I know where things fit in case I get confused partway through it. Clean off the outside of it with cleaner, hose it off, and then start disassembling. Now, I won't give you a detailed description of how to do the rebuild. There's a lot of other videos on YouTube that give far better instructions than I can. People who are actually experts on it, not me who's doing this for the first time. I'm simply showing you something that can be done and what I found in there when I started cleaning it. So, first thing is start taking things apart. I always have a container to put all the small parts in. Whenever you're taking a carburetor apart like this, be careful for little springs and check balls and things like that coming out, and make sure you don't lose them. Before I started taking it apart, I ordered a new carburetor rebuild kit came with new gaskets, a lot of new check balls, new springs, new needle and seat, new float. Actually, I think I ordered the float separately, but I got a new float. Anyway, this is the first step, pulling it apart. It's looking pretty grimy in there. The thing on the lower left is the accelerator pump. The big black blob there is the float. Looking down into there, this is the float bowl. Lots of little bits of dirt in there. Did it on an old cookie sheet, that way the little pieces don't roll away. As you can see in the float bowl here, a lot of dirt sitting down there. This is the main fuel inlet. This carburetor had been sitting dry for who knows how long, and it looked like little bugs had carried things in there, or I don't know what they were, but I knew that those would not be good for the running of the engine or keeping any orifices clear. Bottom of the float bowl, again, lots of little bits of dirt. Who knows what is down there. The two holes in the center, the bottom center, are where the main jets go for the two halves of the carburetor. Getting a lot of grime and dirt to be cleaned in there. And this is after I'd done some cleaning, getting it nice and clean. There's going to be some staining in the carburetor. That's not the end of the world. What you want to do is get any of the pieces off that could chip off, anything that could clog anything. You want to clean that way. Same thing looking down the throat of the carburetor. It's looking a lot cleaner down there. There's a few drops of carburetor cleaner still sitting on the flaps, but overall looking a lot cleaner. Now this was the real main culprit. These are the main jets. As you can tell, the one on the left is completely clogged. The other one is dirty. The one on the left is completely clogged. So I actually used a little tip cleaner for a torch and cleaned it out and washed them all out and put them back in. But essentially what I had up till now was a carburetor that ran on both sides on the idle low-speed jets, which are the adjustable screws in the carburetor. These are the high-speed jets that control everything above 2,000 RPM or so. Only one side was getting any fuel at all. So that would explain most of my loss of power, even ignoring all the rest of the dirt in the carburetor. Anyway, beyond that, I just started replacing parts after I had it all cleaned, put everything back together in the reverse order of taking it apart. Make sure you get all the float levels and everything adjusted according to the specs that you get with the kit. Refer to some of the more educated people on here for technical details. Thing to learn when you're rebuilding a boat, rebuild the carburetor.